Thank you for coming to Deb Chanel's 48th World, where we do recaps and reviews on The Bold and the Beautiful and The Young and the Restless. And we do reality shows. And you have to see my catalog listing because I do several. So I just wanted to inform you of that. But let's get on into The Young and the Restless episode for today. April 29th, 2016, that aired at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time during the weekdays. Of course, you know, we go and recap off from the previous scene that was shown to us on the previous day. And basically, it's pretty much Sharon is calling herself chasing after Sage because she left abruptly because of course you know Sharon did not want to give up the baby, and Sage left her place all emotional, and she was basically trying to I guess she got like a 10 or 15 minute delay ahead of her prior to her going out to try to reach Sage from getting to her husband Nick to tell him the truth that their baby actually didn't expire. He was fully living and very well taken care of, and it's going to be an up trip for them instead of them both being on a down mode of losing or thought they had lost their baby. So as Sharon is coming along, she finally catches up with Sage, or she sees the back of her car down a little road they're traveling, and she's blinking her lights and this, that, and the other, and trying to motion Sage to pull over so they can talk about the incident. And basically you can see the lights in Sage's car when she's calling Nicholas, and she's not able to reach him, so she's leaving him a voicemail, and she's not really even saying anything. She's just saying pretty much like what do you call it, trying to leave a message that she has something to tell him about baby Christian and this, that, and the other, unless that they didn't show us something else prior to us viewing what she was saying before the accident. And what had happened was when she had called herself finished with the phone, she had slipped from where she wanted it to be placed, and it hit the floorboard of the passenger side. Instead of her just leaving the phone there, she called herself, taking her eye off the road, bending down, trying to get the cell phone, picking it back up, and evidently she must have been riding into or driving into a guardrail or some structure that wasn't in her viewing as she was going down the road prior to her dropping the cell phone and taking her eye off the road. Anyway, she must have tumbled and the car just spun out of control and it ejected her from the vehicle because she landed like maybe 4 or 5 feet from the car. So and she of course landed strictly face down. So I don't know if she hit something or just the impact from she being ejected from the car did the damage to her internally, and maybe she was bleeding and internally, and we didn't see the rest of it. So we go from there. We go back to Dylan bringing Faith home, getting ready. She's coming from her play date with a colleague of theirs or a friend or neighbor, whatever, and he's telling her, let's look for mommy or whatever. And when they come in, they notice that she was starting to get the grab bag for the baby together, but for some reason they exited out because they weren't nowhere to be found. So it goes from there, goes to Hillary, and is it Ashley and Dr. Neville, and they're sitting looking at some patient's chart that basically they had in the trial study. They were testing out this new medication they wanted to have released, and the patient or client patient of theirs that was in the study had an adverse reaction. And adverse means something went wrong with the drug, and their body was rejecting it for some reason, and it was actually I guess damaging the organs and making them go to like a near-death experience. So they had to somehow revive that particular patient, and the cause, after doing, several blood tests to see what went wrong and other kind of tests, I'm guessing it was that medication that had messed up that person's system, and I almost I probably did put him in cardiac arrest if he was near death. And they had to do emergency type measures to bring him back to life. I'm guessing, because that's the only reason why. Either organ failures are going on or something with the heart that will stop someone from taking a particular medication. So they tried to let Hillary know that so she could pull the plug on the research project that it was doing on this drug, because it wasn't FDA approved yet. But Hillary was trying to rush it through without taking a proper protocols, as letting the study at least be in testing phase for about a year or two, or maybe even 3. But since they had so much positive results, and the stats supported that it was a stable drug to be administered to millions of people suffering from that particular brain dysfunction or disease, she thought she had a win situation. So she pretty much put it to market to be given to patients that are actually suffering from the disease, dealing with, I guess, head trauma or something cancerous in the brain, to either slow it up or actually dissolve itself by taking the medications. However your doctor prescribed it. But, they were trying to tell her that it will warrant her to pull it and make a complete public announcement about it, because it would destroy her reputation as well. So, of course, when she felt about her own reputation being destroyed, she had to do damage control. And the doctor, Neville, wanted to go out with her in case anybody wanted to ask some medical type questions that they both knew, or all knew, that Hillary didn't have that background. She kind of took it to heart, like they was nice, nasty, trying to throw her up under the bus. But technically, all of them were going to go up under the bus, because all of them were in support of the drug, even though Ashley and Dr. Neville did not want to push it that close, without having the data to support it on a longevity type study. Hillary was just, no, we need to go put it in production, da 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 da. So when they put it to her like, hey, it's just not our careers and characteristics on our character, it's going to be questioned. Yours is too. So she wanted to put her own spin on it and stuff. So she told Dr. Nelvin and Ashley, no, they didn't have to support her. She'll make the public announcement herself. She is a good PR person. She knows what to do. So they against Dr. Nelvin's better judgment, because she did have second thoughts after she walked out that door. He really felt he should have went. But Ashley felt that she could, do the right thing. I mean, she is on the board of directors, so she can't be putting us out to dry without putting her own self out to dry. So they were self-assured with that, and they were going to watch that press conference that she was going to be doing via Skype, or she was, Ashley was watching it on her computer, so I don't know what format it was on, but they were catching the live stream. So Honey Hillary went out there and she threw Dr. Neville and Ashley up under the bus. She was talking like she knew firsthand about the drug going south, and she didn't want anybody to be adversely affected and this, that, and other. I was like, oh my God, no she didn't. Haven't she learned anything? Just a day ago, they were already summoning her, telling her she was fired and she was begging to stay, and then she's going to do this kind of crap. Oh, Lord, just wait till Jack hear it. Just wait till you hear it. And Neil hear it, too. And her husband, Devon, is not even going to be on her team anymore, either. He might be looking at a divorce, because she's too reckless. She's too reckless. And I just can't take her no more. So we move on from there. And we get up to the scene where we're discussing Vicky and Nicholas. They're both talking about their dad was behind the sale of Brash and Sassy, and Nicholas is speculating that Billy was on the team as well, saying it was going up for market. If he wanted to get it, and he wanted to get back at Victoria, he can do so. But as we found out with the particular segment going on, he probably was getting back not at not just at Victoria, but also his brother Jack for not supporting him when Vicky wanted to fire him or did fire him from the Passkey project at Newman Enterprises. But there was affiliation with both of them, Jack and the Newmans. So he kind of took that to heart and he didn't like it. And Victoria tried to play down what she had did, but in actuality she had hurt his feelings. So I don't know about the rich and famous. I guess they try to hurt each other with whatever material wealth they have or business dealings that they are in close proximity to, where they have a stake in it. That's how they get people back and make them feel bad or in pain. So it was just like, okay, they're not going to get back together. I mean, the Newmans and Abbotts have always been feuding with each other since the day of time, it looked like. If it wasn't Jack and Victor, it was Nikki and Phyllis. Oh, just a hot mess. But anyway, we go from there. We go to Paul and Dylan. Paul is calling Dylan because of the accident that was called in over the airwaves, and Sharon, his wife, was the one that called in the accident. So Dylan thinking that something has to do with her and the baby Sullivan, but he said no, he don't think so, because Sharon was the one who called in the accident and it was another car involved. So he's just telling him to meet him on that said highway, which is closer to him because it's out there where his house is. So that's how pretty much they were going with the issue. So he called to the main house to get someone to come and watch Faith while he had to go and look at the crime scene. And of course, Faith just heard her mother's name and she just went all crazy, like, something, what happened now? You know, I'm like, that little girl is too young to be trying to, you know, be figuring out adult type stuff. But basically, you know, he assured her that it had nothing to do with her mom or baby Sully. They were fine. But it was an accident that her mother had called in, so he needs to just go check on the different things of what, stop it, could possibly be going wrong. And she said okay, and he promised to come back. He assured her, so she was okay with that. So she let him go with no more questions. Then we go to Sage, Sharon, and baby Sully. Sage believes she is dying, and Sharon is asking her to tell Nicholas. Well, I'm sorry. Sage is asking Sharon to tell Nicholas that he does have a son in the world. Tell him the truth. That was her last dying wish. Now, Sharon didn't say one way or the other. She was just in complete shock. She could not believe that this kind of situation just fell remotely in her lap, and it gets her out of the hot seat if Sage do perish. And you know, it's a bad way of looking at it, but it's pretty much, you know, a dead person can't talk or tell no lies or tell no secrets. So that's where we were with the situation. And I don't know, she just knew for some reason she was going to perish, and she wanted to hold her son one last time. Evidently, she must have crushed in some way, because she acted like she couldn't even lift up her hands, or she didn't have the strength to lift up her hands to hold the baby. So Sharon just put the baby on her chest a little bit, and so she could talk with him and, you know, say what she had to say. And shortly after that, she passed away. And Sharon is looking like, you know, this is pretty much a bad way for things to be, but at least my secret will be safe. We go to commercial. We come back from commercial and we go to Hillary. Ashley's telling her with how to go to respond to the public, what to say about the drug trial. Hillary says she has all of that in control. She act like she didn't want to suspend the trial testing, and they were like giving her heads up, like, if you don't do it, then we're gonna do it if we have to go to the other board meetings. And she reluctantly submits to doing what they're asking her to do. And we leave there. We go to Sharon, Sage, and baby Sullivan again, after Sharon has witnessed that Sage has taken her last breath, she closed her eyes just out of respect for the dead, and so she didn't want to completely look at somebody that wasn't breathing anymore. And then she gets up with the baby and walks away from Sage and Sage's dead body. And then as she's daydreaming or trying to recollect her thoughts, Paul arrives on the scene and he goes straight towards Sage's body. I don't know if he tries to do any resuscitation, but of course we were there when we saw her took her last breath, and if you didn't get it too much after that and you don't have no defibrillator, I mean, it's pretty much a no-go. So basically Paul ascertains what he could see, and Dylan arrives on the scene, and Paul tells Dylan she's dead, and they're like, what are we gonna tell Nicholas? And he like, the body has to go to the hospital anyway for, I guess, the morgue to pronounce it death upon the deceased, and write it up for reports, and then send it to the morgue and call the family member that is closest to the deceased. And he said he'll try to call Nicholas on his way to the hospital. So prior to him leaving, they're showing the viewers of the show that they covered up her body, her facial part, before they, well, I guess, load her up on a gurney and put her in the ambulance to transport her back to the hospital, or the nearest hospital. And Paul, he knows it's a delicate subject because everybody knows Sage and all this. And he just goes on and asks her little bits and pieces of questions. And of course, she looked like she kind of hysterical, and she doesn't really half-ass answer the questions. Everything is pretty much no, 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 and she just want to leave the situation. So we leave there. We go to Vicky and Nicholas. Vicky is asking Nicholas, why does he, meaning her father, Victor, hates her, but not Nicholas? And he's like, Dad is playing mind games, Vicky. He know we are down like 4 flat tires. I'm not going to let anything happen to you, and I'm not going to let anything happen to the business. So that's why he's trying to play. He's trying to play us against each other because he likes chaos. That is a very accurate statement he made about his dad, because he does like chaos. If he's not controlling everything, he wants everything to go to hell. And then he pretty much comes back and saves the day when he put it in that situation in the first place. So Victor is the kind of head figure that he don't want anything to go unless he approves it first. And that's just the way it is, and that's the way it always been. So they must deal with it or suffer the consequences. So pretty much they're suffering the consequences. But instead of Vicky having a clear head about the thing, because like I said, Nicholas has already pretty much done gave her the agenda that their dad is trying to play. He's always played them, even when they were much younger and they had their own businesses. Victor always ensured a way of getting in there, in their business, and tearing it up a little bit more so they can come crawling back to him, and so he can boss them around as he sees fits. So Vicky just get all confused, distressed, and so frustrated to where she goes off on Nicholas and tell him she don't know who to trust no more. Seems like people are just turning against her left and right, and she just couldn't take it, so she ran out the office. And Nicholas is like confused. He don't know what the hell just happened. So we move on to there. We go to Jack and Phyllis. Jack is talking to Phyllis about why Vicky put Brash and Sassy on the chopping block. Jack has figured out everything after sitting there hearing Phyllis tell her ridiculous story, and then he's trying to connect the dots, and then he's figured it out. He knows Victor is after Victoria to bring her down so Nicholas can take her position at Newman Enterprises. He just wants Victoria out, and she's upset, and he knows she's upset because he would be upset. And it's pretty much that her daddy is getting her back for turning on him. So it's pretty much fair play. All fair, love, and war. That's basically what he's doing to his children. And with her not thinking straight, she's playing right on into Victor's hands. Nicholas is seeing very clearly, because yes, he's not going to let anybody take advantage of his sister, and he's not going to let the business go down in flames. So it's almost like Victor is still the puppet master, and he's pulling everybody's strings, including Abby, because he got her to trade off her proxies and her shares. Nikki did the same thing. So I'm like, hey, if y'all were gonna still sit there and sing to his tunes that he's playing and dance by them, then why even have told the truth in a sense and put him in a situation where he had to go to court and prove himself? Because y'all still played into his hands. So we all know Victor's a shrewd business player, and he's a shrewd personal dad and husband. So that's a hot mess all the way around. But when would they learn not to cross their daddy? Woo! But anyway, we go on to commercial. We come back to the accident scene and Osage and Paul and Sharon. Paul is asking Sharon, did she see the accident happen? Sharon is saying no. Um, she was creeping by looking at the accident, and she saw that it was Sage's car, so she pulled over. Her and baby Christian. She took the baby out. They looked at the incident. The car was kind of jacked up. They looked at the person that was injected from the car, from the looks of things, and it was Sage. She was face down. So that's pretty much all she could really tell Paul. So we moved from that situation. We moved to Billy and Phyllis. Phyllis is over talking to Billy about the company he just stole from Victoria, the Newman clan. And did he have help with Victor? Of course, he's saying Victor pretty much let him know what was going down. It could have been a scene, but it's like he took Phyllis's advice about getting in tune with another project, work on that, build that business, and show your dad up. But of course, she didn't have and give this information to Jack, her husband. So that was just a hot mess again, all the way around. But it seems like Billy also have other ideas of maybe sleeping or getting close to Phyllis than he should, because again, he already done did wrong by his wife, or I should say almost ex-wife, if not Victoria. And he did wrong by her. He did wrong by Jack. Now he's really finna do wrong by Jack if he sleeps with Phyllis. And I think that's what it's all going to boil out to be. That's just my instinct. We leave there. We go to Victoria. Victoria has found herself at a bar. She's trying to drown her sorrows in alcohol. When she gets to the jukebox that she's trying to play this song that she, I guess, had come to that particular bar before, and they had some song on the jukebox called Shiny Things. She wanted to hear that little tune, that little diddly, or All Shiny Things, or something like that. And, of course, that didn't really resolve her issues, because I didn't really see her drink nothing out of being there, really. She was just disgusted, and she just wanted a different, I guess, structure and environment other than the Newman offices to remind her of how her dad is trying to comfort her. Because he don't really take her serious, even though she made a multi-million-dollar out of her first project when she was younger. That still doesn't solidify Victor. But like I said, Victor, you cross Victor, you pretty much gonna seal your fate with him. So you might well take the consequences as he dish them out to you, and they're gonna be harsh. So we move on from there. We go back to Paul and Nicholas. They have already made it to the hospital where they have Sage's body, deceased body, in a room just for verification purposes. And then they would go on and pretty much put her in the morgue until people can figure out or tell them how they want them to dispose of the body. Paul is talking with Nicholas as he arrives on the scene, because he didn't really tell him much. He just told him that his wife was involved in a car accident. He needed her to get there, and he tell him briefly what's what, or what was, and he know she's deceased, and he breaks down. Paul tries to console him. He backs back. He wants to know where his wife is. He goes in to see her for the last time. He's talking about what else could he, if he would have did this, all those little isms. But the matter of fact of it is, when it's time to go, it's time to go. But he's being regretful that he didn't get a chance to tell her the things that he really wanted to say. He didn't get a chance to hug her and hold her like he wanted to hold her, because he thought he would have another chance when he got home to see her and talk about it a little more in detail, because he knew she was wanting to tell him something, but of course he didn't answer his phone, so he didn't know what was what. But he go on to say his goodbyes, and he comes back out to talk to Paul to try to figure out what happened. We go to commercial. We come back. We're on Ashley and Dr. Neville. Dr. Neville is congratulating Ashley on handling Miss Hillary, because she was just thinking too much of herself and feeling herself, and he was glad that she put it in the correct words to get her back into reality. But after seeing, what she, well, we won't go there yet. We go to Nicholas and Sage. Nicholas is grieving his wife's death still. He's still pretty much, I fast forwarded, but he was telling her how much he loved her and cared for her and all this, that, and the other. Then we go to Sharon, Baby Sully, and Sage. Okay, Sharon is telling Dylan she was with Sage when she took her last breath. Dylan is just listening. He's not saying anything. And he pretty much says, prior to her getting ready to tell him what Sage wanted her to tell him and Nicholas, he goes on to say he don't know what he would do if he lost Sharon and he lost Baby Sully. So, of course, with that being said, Sharon just looks at him like she in a daze again. Then she looks at the baby, and she just closes her mouth. She ain't got nothing to say. Like, Sharon, you know better. Don't let Sage come back in your dreams and hunt you until you tell the truth, honey, because you know you're already mentally unstable now. But we leave there. We go to commercial. We come back. Dr. Neville and Ashley both are upset how Hillary had made them look on the press conference, and they're just talking about she's trying to put them as the villains, the ones who rushed to judgment with the trial study. But Ashley gonna get her just due, so we don't even have to worry about that. We move on to Jack and Hillary. Hillary finds Jack at the bar because he's upset about finding out that Billy had betrayed him. Their project that they're working on, the foundation that him and Neil started, and it's just a big mess, but everybody was doing everybody wrong. It looked like Jack ended up actually having the last word to fire Billy on that project at Newman Enterprises, even though Victoria had a lot to do with it as well. But he's sitting there depressed, and then Hillary coming in now trying to get on Jack's side and talking about loyalty and all this stuff, and about how many times she had to take the brunt of somebody else's jokes, bad jokes about business and this, that, and the other, and how people already trying to, stab her in the back, and her colleagues not working for her, and Jack is kind of chiming in. He's understanding because, he got the same thing from his brother and his wife, and just not understand, just got a heavy heart and a heavy load on their chest. And so he's glad that Hillary is sitting there identifying completely what he's going through. But I'm like, Jack, pull up. I know you're miserable, you done had a few drinks, but honey, that's a demon seed sitting by you. You need to recognize who she is and take point at it. So we leave from there. We go to Billy and Phyllis. Phyllis is still over there congratulating Billy, and Billy saying, well, thank you. I need to be congratulating you because it was a plan that you helped me devise, and we had a sense of pulling it off. And so he's looking at her like he wants to get in her pants and they go do the darn thing. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is just too much. This is ratchet upon ratchetness. So then we go to Victoria. Victoria is still at the bar feeling bad about herself, and then for some reason she started crying. The bartender noticed her crying, wants to know what's going on because he thought she was sitting there enjoying her song, and then she just looks at him. I hope she paid maybe she didn't even order a drink. Hell, I don't know, but she get the hell out of there. And she walks out without even addressing what he was trying to tell her, or even listening to her favorite song that she wanted to hear. We go back to Paul Williams and Nicholas. Nicholas finally comes out the room after crying and consoling him on his own self about the passing of his wife. So he's not understanding any of it. Everything has just gone too fast for him. It is warp speed, but he's not catching up at all. So he implores Paul to tell him what in the world went on. What do you know exactly about what happened? So he tells him very minuscule pieces of what he had to gather from what he had physically saw. And he's saying, well, Sharon was there at the accident scene. You might want to give her a call. He said, Sharon. So I don't know. Stop, Elijah. I don't know what's really going on to the effect. But he's like, okay, I'm going to have to give her a call because something don't seem right. It really don't. So he was saying, okay, you're only eyewitness you have. And she said she only saw, she didn't see the accident happen, but she was the one that called it in. So she drove by the accident and she had actually had a chance to see your wife because she was out of the car and around the scene of the accident. So he can't wait to call her. So we go to the last and final scene when we're looking at Sharon and Dylan. Sharon is trying to again, I fast forwarded, but she was basically trying to tell Dylan the truth about the baby and the accident and all that. At least that's what I think. Now I could be wrong, but like I said, Dylan goes on to expressing that if anything happened to her or Dylan or either one of them were taken away from him, he don't know what he can do or would do. So she's thinking he would not survive the evidence that she wanted to tell him. So it was kind of sad that they had to kill off a character to make another scenario start. But I guess Sage has played her part and they didn't need her anymore because she really wasn't playing anything that I couldn't see somebody else coming in and taking her place. She wasn't one of them kind of actors or actresses that you needed to see. And the little minuscule role that they had her playing back and forth with just trying to find, the person that took her baby and finding out the reason why, and then she's actually finding that she had a baby, was all much too traumatizing because it had to be, her demise and all of this. So I don't know, maybe it was a contractual problem or they just didn't see her no more for the show. So I guess she had a good run. I only really had a chance to see her because I just started covering this maybe 3 episodes, I believe. I don't know, but anyway, it was a good showing today, even though we had a death. But it is what it is. That's soap opera land. Where there's a death, there's a birth. So we just do what we do. Okay, so y'all have a great weekend. Check out my other videos. Check out our dual channel that I show with my daughter, and check out my daughter's channel. And be safe, be blessed, take care of yourselves inside and out, and I will see you on Monday for more of The Young and the Restless. Okay guys, take care. Love you. Bye.